I was really debating whether or not to make this video. There's been a lot of issues with Cyberpunk ever since it came out, but there's an issue that I'm facing that is probably different than other people, and this one hurts. All right, I guess we'll just do it.
That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound.
Anyway, hey there, my name is Mir, and I'm a photographer from Texas, and welcome to Photo Mode Perspective, where we look at photo modes in video games, but through the eyes of a photographer. In this video, we'll be looking at Cyberpunk 2077 running on a PS5. Now, before we begin, if you'd like to show a little bit of support, I've left a couple links down below where you can do just that. Now, one of the things you probably noticed was the thumbnail for this video, and truth be told, that entire thumbnail was done in the game, with the exception of my logo in the corner and where it says Photo Mode Perspective. Everything else was done in the game. One of the sections in that thumbnail, it says 10 out of 10, and that is a question I'm asking for the photo mode specifically. Is this photo mode a 10 out of 10? I guess we're gonna have to find out. So let's begin, shall we? I'm actually in this area, the Kabuki Market area. I really like this area. I like the way it looks. I like that there's a spot right here, this little walkway up there. That's where I'm gonna go. That's exactly where I shot that thumbnail. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go through here, and there we go. Here's the walkway. Look at that. It's a cool looking view. Okay. So we're going to stand right there. So to access the photo mode, it will be L3 and R3. So there you go. Oh god. I forgot how my character looked. Okay, listen, the armor rating was higher than what I already had on, alright? So no need to judge me, alright? This is a judge-free zone. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we wanna get the walkway in this shot, right? So we're going to start with this. Let me get rid of him. So we'll start here. Okay. So let's do that. And we're gonna turn off the depth of field for now, just so we can get a nice little shot going. And yeah, let's go through the different settings in the photo mode. So you have in the different tabs you have camera, depth of field, pose, effect, stickers, and load and save. So those are presets you can put just for the photo mode. So we'll start with I guess we'll start with camera. Okay, so you have a drone camera, so it's like a free-forming camera, or a first-person perspective camera. And really, it's just you standing there, just pivoting around. That's all it is. But what I don't like about the first-person perspective here is that it takes away all the other settings for the camera. So if we go back to drone, you got your preset, field of view, and rotate. So we're gonna stick to the drone camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep it on customization preset, only because I would like to fine tune everything. But let's see what they have. So they have different little camera angles, and it changes the field of view, and that's assuming your character's there. This actually doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the way that looks. But yeah, if you wanted to use the presets, you could get away with it. But we're going to stick to the customization tab. So what I'm going to use, you see these dotted lines? Can you see those? Those little dotted lines all across the screen? I actually have an overlay for my video that is similar to the dotted lines that you can see. So those dotted lines, you'll see those on phones, cameras, basically just everywhere. These are known as the rule of thirds. Really, they're not set in stone rules. You can break them anytime you want, but they do help guide, where you want to compose your shot. If you ever want to get a better idea or a better understanding on how to take better composed shots, just look up composition and you'll find it. So the rule of thirds is like a composition guide, like it's a guideline. There's other ones out there as well, but the rule of thirds is the most common that you're gonna see. So we'll use these guidelines, and what I want to do is get like a low shot. So something like that. Let's even do L2 to lower the camera. And I think the top of the guideline I want to put right there on the top of that building, on the top of that dome. But I also like that archway and everything, so I think this looks good. But I think I'm a little too zoomed in, so this is where the field of view tab is going to come in. So if we go down in numbers, you'll zoom in, and if you go the other way, you'll zoom out. And that's what I want. I want this to zoom out because I want more of that archway and like the lanterns and everything. I want all of that in the image. So something like that I think would look good. So this field of view tab is your wide angle and your telephoto. So that's how you would distinguish between focal lengths in a camera, wide and telephoto. And what I do like is that it's giving me that impression of wide and telephoto lenses. That's known as like compression and distortion. Or if you use a telephoto lens, what ends up happening is it compresses the image. So the back of the image and like the subject, they end up compressing. So I'll show you an example. So like right here, if I go and do telephoto, this building and the one behind it and everything and like this archway, it looks like it's just smushed together. It's just, it's on the same focal plane, I guess you could say, and they're just compressed together. If we go the other way, so if we go wide, what it's doing is that it's distorting that walkway. It's making it look longer than it actually is. The building is further away, and then the building behind it is actually further away as well. That's your distortion. So with wide angles, it spreads the image and the subjects apart, and with telephoto, it compresses them together. So it's a neat little touch in here because you'll see that in real cameras. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go to field of view 75. I think that looks good. It gives me enough to extend that walkway and just kind of distort it, but then it also gives me the lantern, the archway, and like that little rooftop all in one image. And if I use the rule of thirds dotted lines that you see there, then I can compose the shot. So you can see right there to the top right, like that line that's to the right and towards the top, it's going right through that lantern, and I think I'm going to use that lantern as a way to compose it. And then that top line that's going horizontally, put it right there on the top of the building. So I would say that looks pretty good. So if we hide this, that looks pretty good so far. I actually really like that. All right, so next we have the depth of field. It's automatically enabled when you enter the photo mode, but I turned it off just so everything can be in focus. So what the depth of field does, it will basically determine where and how much your image is in focus or blurred out. So it's on autofocus right now, but what it's doing, it's focusing right in front of me. That's basically what's happening. But what I want to do is turn off the autofocus so I can control where the focus is. And then you have aperture. So the aperture on lenses is marked by f-stops. So you'll see like f2.0, f3. Whatever. It'll be marked there. So it's not marked by f-stops, but it's giving me the same effect. So the smaller the number f-stop is, the less amount of focus area that you have, and the blurrier their image is going to be. And if you go the opposite direction, so if you do like F11, F16, that means you have more in focus, and you have a lot less blur or bokeh. That's the name of it. To show this off, let's see. If you look at this walkway, you see that little area that's focusing, that's moving back and forth? That's basically the little slice of focus you have. So if something was in that little slice, then that thing will be in focus. If you wanted to blur out the background and have something focus in front of you, then you can change the aperture. So what's known as, if you stop down to, let's just say F14, right? You have more in focus. So it's not going to look as blurry and so on. So again, it's similar to what you would see in a real camera. So it's a nice little touch. But what we want to do is focus on the building back there. So we're going to do, let's give it a little blur. Let's just do 14. And we're going to move this and make sure that building's in focus. And sometimes it just doesn't work. So like with this, with this one, I don't think that this depth of field is really working. So we'll just turn it off. That's fine. But now you kind of have an understanding. We'll take different pictures, maybe with people in them, or taking pictures of someone, and we'll use the depth of field, and you can see the what it looks like when you customize it. So for now, I'm going to skip over pose because I turned off the character. So we're going to go to effect. So this I actually really like because it's reminding me of editing photos. So this is something you would see in something like in Adobe Lightroom, where you can, take an image that's like a raw image, and then you can edit little parts of it. Then you have your contrast slider, highlights, vignette, chromatic aberration, grain, and then little filter effects. So we're going to start with exposure. Okay, so with exposure, if you go to the right, it brightens up the image, and then go to the left, it darkens the image. So this is, standard. You would see this in every editing software for photos. You will also see it if you're using your phone and you tap on the screen. There's usually a little slider that with a little sun icon, and you can move that slider around, and that'll be your exposure. How do you want to darken the image a little bit? Do you want to brighten up the image, and so on? So then your contrast. I think with this image, I think I want to bump up the contrast a little bit. Maybe something like 25. Yeah, that looks better. Really make some of those colors, especially the lanterns up at the top, make those pop. Then you have your highlights. So exposure, when you're editing an image, exposure would basically be your entire image is being affected. So if you brighten or darken your image, the exposure is going to do the entire image. Highlights is just going to focus on, bright lights, so sunlights or any sort of light source, like a bright light source. That's where the highlights come in. So if I turn this down, it's mainly affecting the light coming from the sky there. So you'll see this. So here, it's an overexposed image, so you don't see any of the detail in the sky. But if I turn down the highlights, then you start to see the sun is, I think it said when I paused it was 4 in the morning. So you can see the sun is coming up, you can see the blue in the sky, and so on. So bring down the highlights, and yeah, you'll get a lot more detail out of your image. So I think what I want to do is probably, let's just do that for now. And then I'll just bump up the exposure a little bit. Bring out the highlights some more. Okay, I would say that looks pretty good. And then you have a vignette, and so this will just basically darken the edges of the image. So you can see it in the top left. If I bump up the vignette, you can see like a circle that's basically encompassing the entire image. So that's what a vignette would be. Of course, be careful with vignettes, because sometimes it might look cool, but then other times like it just it doesn't look right. Use it as a way to get someone's attention to the subject that you have. So in this case, the subject, which is the building, is in the middle. So I'm going to add a vignette so the surrounding parts aren't as distracting, and then people focus more on the building or on the subject. Now, if you use, let's say if you were to edit an image in Lightroom, for example, you can use a radial filter. So there's a thing called a radial filter. You can put it over a subject, like even if the subject's not in the middle, just put them wherever the subject may be, and then invert the radial filter, and then turn down your exposure. And then what ends up happening there is it'll give you the same effect as a vignette, but it won't be, you know, the focal point won't be in the middle. It'll be anywhere you want it in the image. So if someone's off to like the bottom left corner of the image, put the radial filter over there, turn down the exposure, and it darkens everything around that bottom left corner. So use vignettes as a way to guide someone's eyes to the subject that you want them to see. I do like this a lot. I like this effects tab, where you can basically edit an image on the fly. And then you have your effects. So these look very pleasing. Yeah, I like that. Oh, there's that black and white. I'm gonna mess with that in just a second. Oh, that's so bright. That burns. I don't like these. These are too much. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna go back to that black and white. This one. So this one, let's see what I can make of this. Yeah, I mean, that looks pretty cool. I think I'll save it. Why not? Cool. Let's go back. So what else do we have? We have stickers. Oh geez, there's a lot of sticker layers. Okay, dang. Let's see. Okay, so the left analog stick is to move them, right is to rotate, and L2 and R2 is okay. So this is basically how I made that thumbnail for this video. Just basically went through all these and found different things I could just put on this image. And actually, one thing I've noticed in this game, oh god, that's grotesque. One thing I've noticed with this game, Ghost of Tsushima, and Spider-Man Miles Morales is that these games are just thumbnail makers. Honestly, like you can, you know, you have all these different stickers, you have all these different things you can do and just make thumbnails. Like, I don't know why you need Photoshop or anything like that. You can just make your thumbnails in the game. Yeah, you can definitely have a lot of fun with this. It's all these different stickers you can put on here. It's like, oh my god, there's 200, how many was it? 208 stickers in here. 208 stickers, 5 layers. It's like over 1,000 possibilities of stickers. It's crazy. You can have a lot of fun with this. I'm just gonna put a couple random ones on screen. Why not? Yeah, this should have been my thumbnail. There you go. Alright, frame. So those are little crop bars on the top and bottom. Again, more crop bars. Yeah, these frames look pretty cool. Oh, I like the V. That's cool. You can get very creative with that. Samurai logo. Cyberpunk. That's how the game should have been marketed, just like that. Oh, I like that one. Oh, and you can still move. Okay, that's cool. You can still move the camera around even while you have the frame like this. That's cool. Yeah, these frames are nice. Oh, you got like vaporwave and retro style. Nice retro style frames. Yeah, those are cool. Let's turn this off. Okay, yeah, one thing I don't like is how stiff the camera controls are. Like, I can't move that far back. Like, why? I'm trying to move forward. Why can't... Okay, there we go. Jesus. That is the number one thing I don't like about the photo mode, is how stiff the controls are. It's just moving around. There's... The nice thing about this game is that there are objects everywhere. The downside is that you're bumping into it with the camera. Or the other big complaint I have, before we look at this background, is if I were to remove my character, so if I were to do this, I said, okay, I want to look at that walkway, I want to look at that building. Okay, so like if I go this far, it hits the character, right? And then if I turn off the character, you would think I can just go right through. Nope. I'm blocked in by the character, so I have to do what I just did, which is go around him just to move forward. I don't like the controls. So at the beginning of this video, is this photo mode a 10 out of 10? No, this is definitely not. As far as the movement, that's dropping it down to a 9. I don't want to do official ratings or anything, but I'm dropping it down a point. This movement is awful. I hate it. I don't know. Not a big fan of these backgrounds. There's not that many to begin with. I feel like these backgrounds, for me personally, I think these would be good, like for Zoom calls and stuff, but I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this. Like this, where was that one? This one looks like I just want to erase, so that's cool. But aside from that, I'm not a fan. And you might find something creative to do with these. I'd love to see that. So let's see what else we can do. You know, what's crazy is that I've seen a lot of people finish the storylines and just overall just have fun with it, with like the missions and so on. Me, I've as my friend put it, I've been using this as a photography sim, and it's true. All I've been doing is just walking around. 15 hours in the game, I just walk around and just take photos. This definitely reminds me of going on different trips and just walking around and exploring the cities, you know, taking the sights in and so on. And basically what I'm doing here is what I did like when I went to like visit Europe and so on. I'm just running across the city. I'm like, I need to find a picture. I need to find a place to take a photo. I only have like a whole week before I leave. I need to find a photo spot. So yeah, this is basically how I looked when I went and traveled. Dang it. thing that kind of hurts about this game is the fact that you're just walking around, enjoying it, just whatever. You just hear Japanese in the background, and it hurts me a little too much because I was supposed to go to Japan with my best friend in March 2020, and of course 5 days before we were supposed to go out is when we went into lockdown. So yay! Thank you, Cyberpunk, for reminding me of this trip I never got to take. So yeah. And what's great is I'm filming this in holiday 2020, so we're just a couple days away from New Year's, and it's my favorite time of the year, which is go outside. Do you hear fireworks or gunshots? So what do you hear in this game? Sounds like fireworks to me. Fireworks. I think those are the ones that sparkle. Beautiful. What I love about this character, like you go into the photo mode and he's just like, hello. Love it. This is uncomfortable. So I think what we're gonna do is we're probably just gonna do like a portrait of this cop. Do it like this. So I'm using those rule of third lines to line up the cop to the right, and I'm gonna have them in between that plant and the vending machines in the background. So we're gonna lower this, and actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna lower this so that one line is right there on their eyes. Little pro tip with focusing: if you're taking a picture of someone, make sure their eyes are in focus. It doesn't really matter if like the rest of them aren't really in focus. Just make sure their eyes are in focus. That way, whoever's looking at the image of said person can connect with them. Because if you have if you miss focus and their eyes are all blurry and stuff, it just, people will see that, okay, it's an image of someone, but they won't be able to connect with it. So just make sure that their eyes are in focus. I think that looks good. That looks good enough. Take screenshot. So that was a look at the photo mode in Cyberpunk 2077. All in all, I would say the photo mode in this is actually, it's really good. Like especially the effects tab. I really like this. I like all these different little features, especially the highlights and the exposure. That's cool. You can really fine tune it as if you're editing an image in editing software. Stickers, fantastic, and so on. Number one complaint, just it's so stiff to move the camera compared to other games like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ghost of Tsushima. Those did a better job with you can move around the environment a little bit easier without having to worry about like knocking into things, or you just don't have a lot of space to work with. In here, I can't move that far back. Like can't move that far back, or I'll just get, I'll just hit objects, and it just gets really annoying. That, and then the stickers. The stickers is probably like a minor complaint compared to the movement of the camera, but still, it's really annoying. It's like 208 stickers. You want me to press 208 times? Makes no sense. Anyway, hope you guys liked this edition of Photo Mode Perspective, and see you guys on the next one.